That didn't take long. We're back.
Welcome back to Viewer Story 2013, The Real People's Power.
Literally took 3 seconds.
Right. Usually he takes like 5 minutes just to type a couple of words and put a little shortcut on my desktop and shit, but...
Yeah, Okay, so this show is, like I said, dedicated to 9/11, dedicated to the people who lost their lives, not just the people in the towers, but the people who served in the wars who lost their lives. And this is just a dedication to those people and to their families who have suffered through this entire time. So I just want to touch base. I want to first start off that the World Trade Center was first initially hit back in 1991 with a couple vans full of explosives underneath the garage area. That was where the first initial attacks had happened back then, and it was a failed attack. Okay. Then years later, here was a president that had all the information in his hand regarding what was going to happen on or around 9/11. And he ignored what the CIA had given him. So therefore, come 9/11, the buildings were struck by planes, and another one was struck in the Pentagon. We can't forget about the Pentagon. And another one went down in Pennsylvania in a field, right, because of its passengers. Now, today marks the 11-year anniversary that this had occurred. 11 years ago, our country was under attack. 11 years ago, thousands of people lost their lives within a matter of 2 hours. In a matter of 2 hours, and at a point, it was in a matter of 15 minutes, where the one plane hit, and the next plane hit, and the buildings imploded, right? So it literally, in a blink of an eye, thousands of people lost their lives. And then that ignited the war on terror to go into Afghanistan to find Osama bin Laden, where we lost many more troops, which spilled over into Iraq, where we lost many more troops. And even to this day, we still have soldiers in Afghanistan that are still losing their lives, all off of a chain event that happened 11 years ago. Here we are, 11 years later, still fighting over in Afghanistan, still fighting the terrorist regimes. You see,
my question is, okay, I understand the initial cause of wanting to go to Afghanistan and all that because of what happened on 9/11. I understand they wanted to get Osama. I understand they wanted to get bin Laden and Saddam. Now, they got Osama. They got Saddam. Why the fuck are we still there?
Because the continuation of the war is based on a war on a terrorist regime, which is Al-Qaeda. The reason why they're still over there in Afghanistan, at least, is that yes, bin Laden has fallen, but there's still others that are down the chain, you see, that can rise up into the spot that he was in.
And with all the technology, surveillance shit at our disposal, they still can't figure out where this regime is holed up.
Because in Afghanistan, it's all tunnels.
Then bomb the fucking tunnels.
It's hard to pinpoint them. It's not just something you can see, or even satellites can see, because they bury them. I mean, they dig them deep enough where it can't be picked up. That's how they've been hiding so long. So therefore, when they go in, you have to literally smoke out every ground tunnel you can find. It's like being over in Vietnam, where they use tunnels underneath the ground for access. It's like that.
Okay.
To clear that up.
Fair enough.
But Iraq, we shouldn't be there. The rest of the troops should be pulled out.
Why the fuck are we in Iraq? I never understood that. Why?
Well, the initial reason was weapons of mass destruction, which everyone knows that was not there.
Mm-hmm.
It was basically Bush's personal vendetta on Sudan because that's where his daddy failed.
So, let me get this straight.
His daddy couldn't get him in the 90s, so he tried again. And he used this war, in a sense, as a crutch to do it.
So, let me get this straight. This idiot we had, well, I'm not going to say we had because I didn't vote for the fucker. This idiot you people decided to put in office and keep in office decided to take it upon himself to pursue a personal vendetta per his father for whatever fucking reason. I do not care.
And that's why he still said it was for weapons of mass destruction.
Mm-hmm.
But it was never found.
So, this idiot that you people decided to vote in twice put more lives in danger and caused more lives to end because of, in his eyes, he thought, oh, weapons of mass destruction that were proven not to be there. And because he wanted to satisfy a vendetta his father couldn't even handle. So,
it's a pointless war.
Thank you.
You know, and I'm a soldier, and a lot of people I knew are soldiers. My brother's a soldier, and we all think the same. Iraq is a pointless war. It's been a civil war since day one in that country. It would have continued being a civil war. We didn't need to stick our nose in there.
If they want to fuck themselves up, let them fuck themselves up. We do not need to be involved in that. Bring our troops out of Iraq. Bring them home where they belong. If they gotta go to Afghanistan, okay, so be it. There's shit still going on in Afghanistan. But Iraq? Why the fuck do they need to be in Iraq?
No, I agree.
Bush is gone.
A lot of soldiers agree too.
Bush is no longer president. Bush has no power. Bush is nothing. He was nothing in office, and he's more of nothing now. Why the fuck are our soldiers in Iraq? Use your fucking common sense. There's no point to being in Iraq. Bring them home.
We've been over in Afghanistan now for exactly 11 years. Well, going on 11 years. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
In another month, it would be exactly 11 years that we've been in Afghanistan. Okay? 11 years. 11-year war. You know, I understand why we're there. Now, with the 8-year war over in Iraq, that needs to be done. Because things are heating up in Iran, where they don't want to disarm their nuclear program.
Mm-hmm.
Things over in North Korea, where they have nukes and have been testing them. They're rockets that can reach the United States.
Mm-hmm.
The center of the United States, too. These countries are all building up. Meanwhile, our soldiers are stretched thin that if something breaks out, they're going to be short.
And yet, knowing all of this, what's going on in North Korea, what's going on in Iran, and yet they are still sitting there twiddling their fucking thumbs, stuck in Iraq.
Thank you. Now, here's another point of this topic, the other part of the topic that I want to get to real quick. The remembrance part, right? We're here to remember and to always remember what had happened that day. Now, I was hoping, here it is 11 years later, and people are becoming complacent all over again. History has a habit of repeating itself. And here we are, America is being starting to become complacent all over again. Taken for granted each day that we have, and not remembering what had occurred that day. When that was one day, it took a day of devastation to bring this country together.
And it's sad in and of itself that it took something like that to bring this nation together.
Right. And now here it is, we're all falling apart again. You know? We're not keeping to the memory. We're not respecting the memory. Yeah, you can say, you know, God bless 9/11, and you know, I'm sorry for all that happened, and I'm with the families. You can say that all you want, but if you don't pull together it's like a disrespect to them.
It's like a slap in all their faces.
Because here it is, their families are still suffering. They lost loved ones. They seen this country pull together. Only for, here it is 11 years later, for it to fall apart again. You know, you have this group versus this group, this race versus this race. But after that day, we weren't a race. We weren't a group. We were all citizens of this country standing tall together. That's what we were. But it's not like that anymore again. Here it is 11 years later. I was 21 years old when that had happened. This guy right here, he was what, 13? He was 13 when that happened. And I still remember, and I still try to live my life to respect what they had gone through and those who had lost their lives. But as I sit here, I'm watching it crumble. I remember, like, for the first couple years after it happened, people, oh, you know, there's Remember 9/11 stickers, there's Remember 9/11 shirts. There's tribute to these individuals who lost their lives. Now, I got 2 pinpoints real fast. First off, with them selling shirts and posters and bumper stickers, whatever, I think that shouldn't even be sold. I think it should be free.
Because they're treating it like it's a fucking...
You're benefiting off of somebody's death. You're making money off of those who lost their lives. That's fucking wrong. Second point here. Here it is years later, and you don't see it anymore. You don't hear about it anymore, only on TV. You don't see the Remember 9/11 posters hanging up in the work establishments anymore. It's like, yeah, it happened. Here we are 11 years later. Oh, let's go on our daily business again. I believe 9/11 should be a national holiday to pay respect to those who lost their lives. I believe it should be up there with, you know, Columbus Day, Martin Luther King Day, the President's Day, you know. It needs to be a national holiday.
But no, instead they have Valentine's Day, they have Easter, they have what else is a useless holiday that has absolutely no meaning whatsoever?
Well, y'all get the drift.
Yeah.
Y'all get the point here. And we need to remember them, so why not make it a national holiday?
I mean, if you don't want to take that far of a stretch, fine. Here's something nice and simple. 9/11. You want to have a day of remembrance? Fine. Here's what you do. You go back. You figure out the time it exactly happened. You figure out when the first plane struck.
And that's easy. You watch the frickin' news.
Boom. That's one. Here's what you do. Nice and simple, real quick. You go. The TV stations can do this. It's very simple. The radio stations can do it.
A moment of silence.
A moment of fucking silence.
Across the nation.
There. Everywhere. Every single station should stop. Everything that's on TV, I don't give a damn if it's the news, fucking Married with Children, motherfucking Day of Our Lives.
Whatever.
You cut that shit right there and you put on the screen 9/11. Remember the day. Period.
Because then you're going to have a kid say, Mom, Dad, what's that? And then you can explain to your children what had happened that day. So on that note, this is Remembrance to 9/11. God bless, Godspeed. Thoughts are with your families. So sorry y'all had to lose your families that way. And I'm sorry that people are not remembering.
This has been Viewer's Choice 2013, The Real People's Power.
Free your mind. See you tomorrow night.
Good night.